Hi, I'm Pat Paddison, Developer Architect Evangelist at Citrix, and just one member of the developer ecosystem team responsible for Citrix Converge 2020. It's been a privilege to work with you, our community, in building Converge over the past few months. Together, we created a free, global, virtual developer conference unlike any event that Citrix has seen in the past. I'd like to thank our speakers from Citrix, our partners and customers, for sharing their experience and expertise both in the pre-recorded sessions and in answering questions on Slack. I really have to call out our friends in the Netherlands, RawWorks, for presenting 6 breakout sessions, about 10% of the total Converge content, and putting together these weekly recaps. Please join me in thanking my colleagues on the developer ecosystem team for all the late nights and early mornings they've spent creating Converge out of thin air. As an evangelist, I'm often the public face of the team, but I really am standing on the shoulders of giants. Finally, thank you, the thousands of coders, scripters, and builders that have participated in Citrix Converge 2020. You're the reason we put this event together. Stay tuned for an awesome 2021.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to our second episode of ONERECAP. My name is Eltje van Gulik and I'll be one of your hosts today, and I'm joined here today with my good friend and colleague Gerjan Kunst, and we also have Niet Moving from Citrix here. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for everyone who watched our first episode of ONERECAP. Thank you very, very much. And if you haven't watched that episode yet, please do so, but not now.
No.
So, time really flies when you're having fun, right? It's already the second episode of our ONERECAP, and also the final one, because Citrix Converge was 2 weeks, and this is always the end. So Gerjan, how did you experience the second week of Converge?
Yeah, well, it was as good, maybe even better as the first week.
That's always good to hear.
Mostly because we're presenting the journal, so the second week is always better.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So what I enjoyed was you could see the people getting to know and getting more acquainted in the Slack channels, and you see they're finding their way better. So there's a lot of action in the Slack channels going on. That's really good. And the session were not only the C-level section but also the technical sessions were of very high quality.
So Gerjan, talking about the sessions, what were your highlights for the last week?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked, because if you look at the content, the first week was good, second week was even better.
Even better, I agree.
But if you look at the sessions I liked the most, one of the sessions that stood out for me was the preview of potential features they can add to the microapps portal.
The roadmap session from Citrix.
Exactly. Yeah. It was really cool. The first sheet, of course, said, well, everything you're going to see might not be added to the finished product, of course, but they showed some things that were really cool and interesting, and it can have really added business value, and they were, from a technical perspective, they were yummy. So it was a lot of fun to see and then to watch. Another thing that I liked was your session.
My session?
Yeah.
Which one? Because I had 3 sessions, remember?
Yeah. Big contributor, but the one with the OData.
Okay,
how you can get the data from Citrix Cloud and you can have your own fun with it. The way you showed how you can get the information and use it in the BI desktop, it was really cool.
Thank you very much.
And the third session that I enjoyed a lot was the session by Martin about the Citrix Optimizer tool, we all know and love, and how you can use the Citrix Optimizer tool not only to update or to create the base image, but also how you can use it to keep it up to date and how you can use it to configure other stuff.
Oh, that's very interesting, because as you said, a lot of people only use it when they prep their image.
Yeah, but it has a lot more features, and I would advise you to look at the session from Martin, but we also have an interview with him coming up.
Yeah, we're going to show that later on.
Yeah, so that's really cool. It's a really cool guy, and he has a lot of cool stuff to tell.
Yeah. So for me, it was one of the sessions that really stood out for me was the session on user well-being. A small team in Citrix works on the user well-being a lot, and they created a micro-app, a daily micro-app, that asks the user in a very lightweight manner how are they doing. So checking the well-being. And the session was particularly interesting because they didn't only show the micro-app, but they also showed the technical parts behind it. Yeah. So they used Citrix micro-apps, but they also used Podio to integrate it as a database. And what I really liked on the session is the fact that they also used Python to show some of the charts.
Totally
so I'm
not
a little bit biased.
Yeah.
And if you want to know why I'm biased for that, please watch our session, Python versus PowerShell.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug there, yeah. One of the other sessions that I really enjoyed was a session called Automate the Morning and Enjoy Your Coffee. And people who know me know
Yes.
that I really, really need my morning coffee. So that was really a nice session. It was presented by Steve Noel. Please also check that one out. Besides a lot of Dutch presenters, we also had at least one Belgian presenter on Citrix Converge, Jan Tijtgat. And he and his team are really pushing the envelope on NetScaler ADC automation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I had the pleasure of working with him on at least one project, and I was really staggered by how they created some kind of framework inside the NetScaler, and they can do changes on an instant. All the data they can get out of the NetScaler. Wow, it's really cool.
Chris and Nick actually had an interview with Jan. So shall we watch that?
Yes.
Okay, enjoy, guys.
Jan, for the people who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself for our viewers real quick?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jan Tijtgat. I'm living in Belgium. I'm 38 years old. I've been working as a Citrix ADC consultant for about 10 years now, with a past in Citrix virtual apps and desktops as well. But I quickly migrated to the more interesting stuff, at least for me, which is the ADC from Citrix. And since then, I've been exploring the appliance thoroughly. So I'm going real down into the mechanics of how it works.
In your session, you say that the Citrix ADC still feels like a black box for a lot of admins. Why do you think that this is?
Well, first of all, it's an appliance that actually sits in the middle of your network. So if you configure it correctly, or if you use the appliance to the function that you bought it for, pretty much all of the traffic has to go through a NetScaler, because it's not only a load balancer, but in my point of view, it's also a security appliance. That being said, because it is partly a network appliance, it's a security appliance, and it has the nice feature of the Citrix logo in the front, that makes it very hard to position within the organizational structure of an organization. And the Citrix guys tell, well, this is for us, but not for the network guys. The network guys say, no, this is Citrix. And the security guys said, yeah, this is not a security device. So that is one problem. A second thing that you have to consider is that the learning curve to use a Citrix ADC to its fullest is quite steep. It's not like you have a wizard where you do have wizards, but I don't recommend on using them. It's not like having a wizard where you can just click, next, finish, and everything is working as it is supposed to be working. You have to really think about how you are deploying the application and the appliance itself as well.
How did you like presenting at a Citrix event for the first time and digital?
So yeah, it was quite a challenge, because I got a message a week before the deadline to enter the video. So I had to prepare my demo environment. I had to prepare the session, write the scripts, do the recordings, which I struggled tremendously with. So yeah, it was challenging, but I think I got a feel of it, and I'm already planning some follow-up videos and starting a YouTube channel instead of blogging. So
yeah. That's great. That's great to hear.
Awesome.
That's the result. So
why do you think it is important to use infrastructure as code for the Citrix ADCs?
Infrastructure as code for ADCs is important because it is a black box. And if you are deploying an application in your infrastructure, you are also kind of adopting a DevOps culture right now. Hopefully, that's I think some of the major goals in the next 10 years for many companies. So if you're doing infrastructure as code for your applications, why not do the same thing for your ADC appliances? So that if you have a basic setup available, the only thing that you need to do is create a server, create a service group, create a load balancer, attach it to a content switch using your content switching policies. Good tip, use core layer because it will easily help you. And if you have infrastructure as code running then the only steps that you need to know are exactly those 5 steps that I just mentioned. You don't need to worry about what is a load balancer, what is a service group. You don't need to have that knowledge anymore. So instead of having a black box with a lot of options, you now get some kind of a white box with a very strict API that you can talk to by using Terraform or Ansible or a custom PowerShell script or something like the things that we are developing.
One last question. Is there any other session that you would like to recommend from Citrix Converge?
Yeah, well, actually, last night I watched the Python versus PowerShell session from Elcho and Ryan, which are colleagues of you, Chris. And I sent an email, a message to Elcho late in the evening that I was tearing up from laughing. It was a funny presentation. It had a nice drive, and even though it was funny to watch because I watched it at double the speed instead of regular speed, it really had a good vibe to it. And although they went along pretty fast, you got a nice overview of what is PowerShell against Python, because I hate PowerShell. I just can't get my head around it. I know it's a powerful language and I should invest more time in it. But if I have to look at that session, I'm more of a Python guy.
Hey, Nick, welcome to the show.
Hi.
So we just watched your interview with Jan Tijtgat.
Yes, great interview, really a smart guy. I was really impressed about the amount of time that he put into his framework and making really the ADC much easier to manage. And in the end, he had a brilliant tip, because we know that a lot of sessions were recorded, so it takes tons of time to look into that. And what he mentioned was looking sessions at least twice the speed as normal. To be honest, I tried it, and mostly I end up with 1.5 times as quick as normal, as maximum. Yeah, especially when it's a non-native English-speaking person from specific countries. But yeah, it really helped me to look into those sessions and adapt it really quicker than you would normally do. And to be honest, it worked really good.
Okay.
So that's the tip of the week for me.
Okay, so I also have a tip. Because all the sessions are on YouTube, you can also enable captions in the videos. And that worked really, really well as well.
Okay, I will try to do that. Let you know how that works.
Okay, and talking about the sessions, what were your highlights for the second week of Converge?
Yeah, what I really found interesting is there were lots of sessions from partners, but also from Citrix employees. But what I'm still liking is that also the VPs showed interest. And you saw with Safi, our current CTO, had a great session. But also PJ regarding everything regarding why Citrix developers and why development is really important for us in the Citrix, and why Converge help with this. So that were the highlights, and yeah, I haven't seen them all. So in the next couple of weeks, there are a couple of sessions on my to-do list.
Yeah, on twice the speed.
Yeah, but I always like to have the look at the session where you see that where we as a Citrix can help to tackle business problems with our products. That's also always something that is really a thing that I like to see, and also it helps me to do my work with my customers. So
I can imagine, because as a consultant, I normally always focus on the technical part and not on the business side of everything. And Citrix is really putting a lot of effort in also explaining the business side and the business value of everything they're doing now.
Yeah, and if you are able to sell a solution from the business side, it's much easier, because somebody wants to have that problem tackled, and it's not only about the business case as the money that has to be put on the table, but it's more, okay, we have this problem, how can you tackle it, and please tackle it for us. So the ball game changes if you talk about business challenges and solving that. Than versus only looking at the product and having the nitty-gritty new stuff in place. So it's really a different ball game.
Yeah, and talking about business value, we also did a very good interview with a long-time Citrix employee, a colleague of yours, Sarah Hoeg. Can you explain to the folks a little bit what exactly your role entails and what you do at Citrix?
Yes, so I'm a part of our product management organization, so reporting up to the workspace experience and cloud services VP, which is David Lestrade, that some of you might have seen in the context of Converge. And specifically, I look after our work management portfolio of services. So this is podio.com, which is a project management, work management, app builder kind of platform, as well as RightSignature, which is our e-signature and workflow engine for documents. And then what I'm also looking after when I say collaboration and workflows is how do we bring workflows into the context of Workspace and really sort of create a unification of our tools in the context of the intelligent workspace experience.
So collaboration and workflows with Citrix Workspace and Citrix Podio and ShareFile. How can we leverage all these technologies together to be more productive as a user?
Yeah, that's a good question. How do we leverage our technologies to be more productive, specifically Citrix ShareFile, RightSignature, and Podio? We offer a lot of exciting cloud technologies in Citrix that has, APIs and tooling available. In Citrix ShareFile, you can store your files, you can share files in a secure manner. In comparison to what we offer at, other file storage companies with Microsoft OneDrive or Google, ShareFile will actually enable you to aggregate your file storage across both on-prem networks, connectors to Google or OneDrive, and then the files you have available in ShareFile. So getting all of this together in Workspace will really unify the file experience for end users. And then we add workflows on top of this. So what we can do with the other services is we can capture data in Podio as a data store. You can modulate the data and have metadata, add additional conditions, have additional reporting of the data, and then use that to trigger document workflows like sending something for signature, automatically creating a folder, inviting your clients. So all of these workflows can be automated to save time for the user, but also to aggregate your work in one place, which is the unified workspace experience.
You're also one of the presenters here at Citrix Converge. Can you talk us through your session?
Yeah, sure. So I had a session with two other Citrix partners from Faces and BrickBridge that are working with some of these tools together. And what we were showcasing is really how these tools at Citrix empower teams, project managers, IT, to really, in a flexible manner, build applications in minutes that can help them structure their work and organize these ad hoc processes that you might not have a system for. So the use case here is that you have a process that's very specific to your team or very specific to a new situation. And you can actually create an application using our no-code app builder platform Podio in a few minutes. You can add additional workflow automation where you are customizing email templates or text messages that can be sent out, or capturing data that will send off a signature workflow if you need to orchestrate things like signing of contracts. Mm-hmm. And then using Citrix Workspace, you unify and make these quick actions available. So the end user can click one button and that can orchestrate a full workflow in the backend.
So actually everything is connected through either the Podio, the workflows there, and the micro apps within Citrix Workspace.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So the COVID-19 self-certification micro app, can we download it somewhere and easily send it out to our customers? Because I know a lot of businesses are struggling at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good question. We actually made the app packs available in the Podio app market. Mm-hmm. So there will be an app pack here that users can download and use. But right now, creating the integration to Citrix Workspace is a bit of a manual work where you need to authenticate via the API and build the connection. So for that, we actually recommend using one of our Citrix partners to set it up, ensure you have the right implementation requirements and local compliance requirements as a part of your implementation. But we also have a partner who just made their version of the Back to Office app pack available in the Citrix Ready catalog. Mm-hmm. So here there will be some app packs available And then we are also, this is obviously sort of to be changed, but we are working to launch an official Podio Citrix Workspace integration where these apps would also be made easier available. I will also say you don't have to use Podio. You could use existing systems that you might have. It could be ServiceNow, it could be Zendesk, it could be Microsoft Power Apps, anything you have where you can build and capture these processes, you can set up the same use case.
I know you have a very, very busy schedule, but were you able to watch some of the other sessions yourself, Sarah?
Yes, I have. I am a big fan of Converge and the fact that we are able to make this a virtual event. So of course, I've been watching the sessions from RawWorks that has a cool customer case in the Netherlands. But I'm also watching other of our, partner and community sessions. Specifically, I really enjoy when we have external partners presenting and not just Citrix employees. So that's really cool to see.
What a great session from Sarah. And for me, it was new that Podio was first developed in Denmark, but it seems that you know a little bit more about this.
Yeah, well, I was at a conference in Denmark, the E2EFC conference a few years back, and then they organized a meet and greet with the Podio team in their headquarters in Denmark. So it was really cool. So we went there with 3 or 4 guys, and we had a tour of the headquarters. It was really cool. And what I also thought was really cool about the interview is how Citrix is now putting Podio more in the center of the development and using it as a part of the microapp technology to make it a whole. It's really cool technology, Podio. It has been undervalued a few years, I think, but we can see now that it's getting more traction inside Citrix. So it's really cool stuff.
To be honest, it's more or less our second low-code or no-code platform. So great to see that those two are getting combined.
Yeah, exactly.
And that one of the sessions they showed that now it's even easier to use Podio because they can use the workspace as a delivery platform to adapt Podio into that. So great to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's also another thing that we wanted to bring up is that we saw regarding Citrix Converge lots of the name of David Cottingham popping up. And we thought, let's have a quick chat with him and found out why he wasn't on the agenda this year. His name was really buzzing around regarding Citrix Converge. So let's watch the session with him.
Yeah, cool.
So David, for the people who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself to our viewer real quick?
That's a good question. I mean, the short version is these days I head up the microapps, Citrix microapp service platform team, so PM team. And actually for Converge, so my history is I used to be on the ecosystem team. So the first Converge in October last year was something that my team organized. So I have a strong sense of connection to Converge. And less panic this year.
So I think that really ties in with the second question. So you didn't present any sessions or coffee corners, but your name keeps popping up regarding Citrix Converge. Can you explain why? Well,
I think you're right. That does answer a lot of it. I mean, we do have, actually going back in time, right? So the first Converge was all about kind of microapps and how you develop integrations and all that good stuff. And since then, we've had another Converge, of course. It was going to be in person back in March. We had to make it virtual for all the obvious reasons. But we've done a learning journey. We've refreshed the learning journey around microapps, for example, each Converge. So this time, again, we've done a refreshed version. And so even though this time around at Converge, I don't have any official breakouts, I still did a refresh of that learning journey. Obviously, I still care about a lot about the sessions that are going on. So there's a lot of people from my team are giving sessions, and actually the mentors in the Slack channel, quite a few of those are from the microapps team, some PM, some engineering. So I guess I'm associated rather than doing lots this time around, which is nice for once, you know.
What's your opinion on week 1 of the Converge event? And are you also looking forward to the outcome of the hackathon? I think that might be a really cool thing for you.
I think I'll take the second question. I'm definitely looking forward to the outputs. I do remember last year we were like, oh, how many people will we get, you know, writing stuff? And it was like, it could be 1, it could be 20, we don't know. And we had I want to say 18 live demos on stage. So that means there were people who didn't feel they wanted to go on stage as well. I think it was 18, could be different, but anyway. So now we have a sense of what people can do stuff. We validated that the thing works. There's always that fear at the beginning. So I'm really looking forward to see what people do. Right, we've obviously got more features in both Micro's platform, which is obviously close to me, but also keep in mind this is now a Converge that's much broader, right? So it's not just micro apps. It's now got networking and our traditional core business of apps and desktops and so on. So there's going to be a lot of A, interesting stuff from the different tracks, but B, I'd love to see people putting things together. And so I'd love to see more demos around how you do micro apps with, for example, our traditional CVAD business. And I don't know, right? I'm intrigued to see what happens. Clearly, we have loads more people registered and I think attending this year's Converge than we did last year for obvious reasons, right? So in some ways, it being virtual is a good thing because we haven't needed to cap the numbers. I'd love seeing the number of sessions we've got though. And again, you don't need to cap it, right? Because it's all on demand. You can do what you like. There's no breakout rooms, stuff. And just the sheer number of people being able to present, and we're like, oh, we need another session on that. Yeah, why not? Go right ahead and record it. And it meant we could do things like somebody said, oh, can you do this session? I said, well, I'm not really sure I don't think we should do that session. There's not enough content there. So like, yeah, okay, fine, we'll just kill it. There was no issues there. So I love the fact we have so much more in the way of attendance and content. That for me is key. If you look at the keynote we had the other day, well, you know what I mean, officially the other day, right? Those kind of things, I don't think we would ever be able to pull off last year. And so you just look at how it's grown and how it's broadened. That for me is super exciting.
If you look at the first Converge last year, I think there were about 50 people who attended, and we now have, I think, 60 or a little bit more presentations. So it seems that there are more presentations than attendees there, like the first year. Where do you think that this is going to end? We have now 3,000 attendees. So next year, 5,000, or what's the next step?
Well, so actually on the first Converge, I think we had a total of about 110, but clearly there were quite a few from within Citrix as well. So depending on what you're counting there, yes. Look, where we end up, I think, well, multiple thoughts. One is, back in March, we were saying we were going to host a Converge in Prague and a Converge in Bangalore. And so I hope, let's see middle of next year, but I hope we'll be able to do something like that where, let's say, yes, we had a total of 5,000, but let's say it's split across 2 places or something like that. So I would expect to see us doing bigger in-person events, but probably not 5,000 people in one place. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. But clearly we want to do regional. That's why we're going to do that this year. You see, there's a lot of actually attendees from India registered to this Converge. And that tells you, things like Bangalore, there are thousands of developers, obviously. And we're seeing a lot of interest there. In terms of just more generally, I think, well, back at Converge 1.0, right, we did a kind of recap. And we recently participated in an SAP developer conference. I'm struggling to remember the title, whether it was, no, anyway, it doesn't matter. There was an SAP developer conference that we went to and presented a joint solution with SAP on stage. It was great. And the number of developer attendees there was, I want to say like 20,000 or something. It was enormous, right? And we said, look, this is where we have to aim for. Now, that's a long way away, But
aim high.
But if you go from 100 one year to 2,000 the next year, it's not over that point, right?
Are there some new upcoming micro app integrations from Citrix out there in the pipeline that you can share publicly with us?
That I can share publicly with you. The short answer is I don't think I can spill the beans on anything just yet. Now, there are, I will tell you that because we're doing this planning this week, there are a whole load of new integrations that we are looking at doing. And I think what would be good to emphasize is you look at we could do like individual integrations, right? And that's kind of nice, but actually we want to do solution-based ones. And so you're probably familiar with the back to office kind of solution that we announced based on Podio and integrating that with the MicroApp platform. Expect us to do more in the kind of that, here's a bunch of integrations that all fit together to give you something that's, tied together and useful, versus, well, here's one integration, here's another one, and here's another one, but they don't really, like, why would I use those three things? I don't know. So that for me is important. The other one I would emphasize is if you look at some of the sessions, there's one particular one at Converge this time around, which is talking about, if you like, a potential new feature, new extension feature we would add to microapps to make people's lives easier in building integrations. The reason I'm caveating here is because I don't want to give you the full title and then have to give you the full legal disclaimer, right? So, but you can find it.
Yeah.
And what's really important for me there is that should open up a whole bunch of things that we've not been able to do previously. And so both integrations from us, integrations from partners, I think are going to be significantly, bettered because of that.
So that was a cool interview with David, a real smart guy, and really cool to see how his involvement in. So what were your highlights about the interview?
Yeah, it was great to hear how Converge started 1 year ago, with him as being one of the front guys moving it forward, and how it developed now within this year from 50 or 100 attendees last year now into 3,000 this year.
Yeah.
So that's great to hear. And also regarding that, it was last year regarding micro apps, but now we as a Citrix took it a little bit broader and also added all the other products that we have.
Yeah.
So really Converge is really about all those topics, all those products, and how micro apps or Podio, etc. can help us tackle the business needs. So that was great to see. And what I also really liked regarding his quote of that we build a platform, but that a platform is only can be pronounced as a platform if other users, other people start using it
And developing on it.
So
Yeah.
that's really, I think was really great that he mentioned that, because that's something that we don't need to forget. We really have to see that people adapt to it, and you see in Converge in the amount of people that develop on this, and let's see the outcome of the hackathon, that lots of people doing it now. So that's great to hear. And we also had another interview with a great guy within Citrix, and his guy is Martin Čukček. I hope I pronounce it right. Do you have any intro for this session?
Yeah, because one of my favorite sessions, as I said in the start, was the session about Citrix Optimizer tool, and we wanted to talk to Martin about how he sees this Optimizer tool in evolve in the coming time, and to have also talked to someone that doesn't necessarily go about micro apps. It's just about the Citrix Optimizer tool and about Martin and how he sees this product evolve in the future. So it's a really cool interview, and let's watch.
Good morning and welcome, Martin. Welcome to our ONERECAP. Can you please introduce yourself?
Of course. So thanks for having me. My name is Martin Čukček. I'm senior architect. I'm working for the technical marketing team. And I two big projects that I own. It's Citrix Optimizer and Citrix TechZone. I'm member of the technical marketing team, so big part of my job is conferences, speaking at webinars, and it's kind of my personal mission that I always like to be involved with communities. So I'm a huge supporter of the user groups and like talking to people, talking to customers. That's like the thing that I love about my job.
So, of course, everything is about Citrix Converge. So what are your thoughts of the event so far?
So if you've been watching me on social media for, I don't know, the last 2 months, I'm a huge supporter of Converge. It's something that I think have been missing. And the way how it was done this year by the whole Citrix Converge team, I absolutely love it. The energy, all the people that got together to get involved. I'm pretty much trying every day to watch at least 2 or 3 sessions. And I have to say, like, this is my Citrix conference of this whole year. So huge supporter, love the idea, but also love the execution.
And for the people that don't know and that have been living under a rock, as Ryan says, one of your all-time favorite pastimes is the Citrix Optimizer tool. For the few people that haven't seen your session yet, can you explain in short, what is it?
So my session, okay, I will start by saying most people know Optimizer as easy to use tool that you download, click on one button, some magic will happen and suddenly everything is faster, okay? That is what our user experience designers were trying to achieve, and they've done an amazing job. What we were trying to do is build Optimizer in a way that is much more powerful than it looks like, and it's much, anyone can take it and customize it to whatever they want. So we have built-in functionality, template optimizer. We have a lot of, I would call it expert functionality, conditional processing filters. And my session is pretty much how can you take Optimizer and use it for your own needs. So if you are going to watch my session, I'm actually not building anything for optimizations. I'm using Optimizer to download the Chocolatey applications. So on a purpose, I wanted to do something completely different than what most people do, just to show all the capabilities. And also, when I started working on the session, I realized here is the list of like advanced features that I would like to show. And then I realized a lot of them, we don't really have it documented that well. So I've wrote two, I don't know, it's like 10 pages blog posts where I'm going to all this advanced functionality that was built in, but we never really talked about what are the use cases and how you can use it. So I wanted to make sure that it's not only the session itself, but if you want to read more, we also have some articles and everything else.
Yeah, so talking about the optimizer a little bit more, you deploy a lot of the templates or a lot of the software using Chocolatey. We from RawWorks, we are building our own Chocolatey packages, so you can create Chocolatey packages easily because we, as you all, we understand the growing support for Chocolatey. But do you see any other alternatives that could be in the foreseeable future be added or could be useful?
Now, yeah, that's a really good question. Have you ever worked with I'm trying to remember what was the name. One Packager, I think.
I don't know that one.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
So in PowerShell, maybe I butchered the name because it's been a while. In PowerShell, there is a concept of the packager for packagers. And the idea is that you are having the module, you just ask it, install this package. That module is able to reach out to different packagers and find the best match, and it knows how to use it. So Chocolatey is one of the, let's call it sub-providers that are supported by PowerShell. And I loved the concept, but as far as I know, the development stopped like 2 or 3 years ago. So at this moment, I'm waiting for Microsoft to kind of decide, is this going to be mainstream technology or are we going to replace it with something else? If I see more development, I will actually switch to this meta packager instead of using Chocolatey, because again, I could use Chocolatey as one of the sub-providers for this one. Yeah, it sounds complicated. Hopefully I made a little bit of sense.
No problem.
For me,
I think I follow.
For me, it does. For me, it does.
Oh, good.
So another thing we also noticed on the Slack channel, you mentioned a message. You included Dune in your message, and what's the story behind it?
Well, it's very. So I'm a big gamer. Ever, I don't know. Like I got my first computer in 1985. And I was always big gamer, and so a lot of my English is actually coming from these early games like a Dune. So if you would talk to me in like 1995, you would find a lot of sentences that I'm using are really weird because I got them, for example, from the Dune 2 dialogues. So for me, Dune 2 was like Star Wars, Dune. I love science fiction, and that's actually how I was to learn English back in the days. So that game is very close to my heart, and it left like such a big impression on my life. So when I saw the mentor, that was immediately like the first association I got.
So Geryon, in the beginning of the episode, you mentioned that you also had an interview with Martin.
Yeah, we looked at it just now. It was really cool. He's a really cool guy and really smart. And what I found very funny was that he learned June, or that he used June to learn English.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. So I would encourage you to watch the interview, but that's one of the things. And yeah, he's talking about how we use Citrix Optimizer and how they're configuring it and how they're really keen on delivering the most responsive and good UI for the user and trying everywhere to get the correct help functions and give the user information on how you could use the tool. It's really cool. A really fun interview. Okay, so in Martin, in his session, also said a lot about Chocolatey and about how he uses it to deliver software to the images.
Yep.
So we, as RawWorks, we just introduced our Chocolatey packager, a tool which you can create a lot of cool packages.
Yeah.
So I encourage you all to look at the packager and try it out for yourself. What it does is it detects MSI and exe files, versions, and you can package it through a GUI, so no command line thingies. For me, as a mouse clicking professional, that's awesome. I like my mouse, and I cannot lie.
I know you do.
So, and that's a real cool tool, so I encourage you all to look at it. We're developing it, the first version is just released, and we're making it better along the way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about all the different sessions from Converge, but let's not forget there's also a hackathon going on over the next couple of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of you guys have been working very hard for your with your submissions. RawWorks as well. I think we're almost finished. And we also submitted it already?
I hope so. I hope that we're finished because the deadline is approaching.
Oh, then I really hope that we submitted it.
Yeah, so some of our colleagues and ourselves worked a lot hard the last 2 weeks to deliver something that we think has value. So in our previous hackathon where we won the efficiency award, we automated the onboarding of a user. And in this hackathon, we're taking it a step further. So we're not only onboarding the user, but we are also building a company store on top of the Citrix platform with micro apps that a user has credits to order devices, and those devices are automatically shipped and delivered to the user and automatically configured. And all these things are all driven by micro apps.
Oh, that sounds great. But also, let's not forget, we also included the social media integration.
Yeah, because one of the things we saw is that a lot of marketing departments, they have a Twitter handle of the company, of the department or whatever, or a Discord or whatever. And we saw, well, okay, can we also integrate that into micro app? So what we did is we created a micro app where users, where the marketing department can send out Twitter and Twitter notifications, and the users can get those notifications in their feed, so they're already up to date at what the company is spilling out on social media on information. So there's a really cool integration of how different platforms converge into one notification feed.
Oh, that sounds like a winning combination to me, Geryon.
It sounds like it saves a lot of tabs.
Yeah, it does. So, if you look back at the last couple of weeks of Citrix Converge, can you name 1 or 2 highlights that really stood out for you?
What I really liked is how Citrix did Converge, because an online conference is hard, as we all know, and there are a lot of people that signed up, and there is a lot of traction that they made, and they did it just a little bit different than the other online conferences I've been to, and I really like the format because of the Slack channels. Everybody is just one mouse click away.
Yeah, there was a lot of commitment from the Slack channel from people within Citrix.
Yeah, also from VPs, etc. Not only the developers, but also higher up the chain, if you can say it like that. But you could see that there is a lot of commitment in Citrix to make this a success. And I found that everyone was willing and able to help. You can ask them, they would respond. Pat is always one Slack chat away, and
it was a really big community feeling for the whole event. I noticed that. I noticed that too.
So, what did you think of the event, and what did you find a highlight of it?
I really liked the event, and what for me really stood out is doing 6 sessions as RawWorks, might be a little bit too much, because editing, creating, and setting up all those sessions was maybe a little bit too too much.
Yeah, a bit too ambitious.
A bit too ambitious.
And thinking about that, saying, okay, wait, you know what we should do? We should build a recap. We should do that weekly.
Exactly.
That's a very good
because
idea.
That doesn't take up any of our time.
No problem. We can do it. We can do it.
One thing that also really stood out for me was the thing that Jeroen van Rotterdam said in one of his coffee talks. He mentioned that there are a lot of Dutch people presenting here, but he really upped the challenge, and he asked us, and it's a call to you guys, can we make the next Citrix Converge as Dutch as possible?
So for all you foreigners, please learn Dutch.
On that bombshell, thank you very much for watching. We had a very great time presenting to you these sessions, and I hope that you guys also enjoyed watching as much as we liked making it.
And also enjoyed the event as much as we did, because it was really cool. Citrix, thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you very much for making that possible. And as RawWorks, we hope to see each and every one of you guys at the next Citrix Converge.
Yes.